Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm a little late. Had a few problems logging in here. Um, so how is everyone? I'm Angela Blaha. I'm a pure conscious mentor helping people through the Ascension process, ultimately finding the most blissful inner peace, balance, and a deeper connection to your soul self. So today's Ascension topic is why separation is more extreme now than ever before. Are you feeling it? Are you feeling the extremes? The emotional roller coaster that seems to be every few, the thought systems that are coming in that are like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Who am I? What do I want to do? I have no idea how to create my life, right? Those are the symptoms that are so extreme right now. So first of all, let me explain what separation is. Separation is basically the belief, right? We have a belief system that says that we're separate from our soul self, our spirit self, our God self. We're separate from all that is. It's a belief. We've been living that belief for eons. And why do we have separation extremes right now? Because we're moving out of that belief. We're releasing ourselves from the beliefs of the old beliefs at the moment, rather than having some sort of plan to follow, which is kind of what we've been doing in third dimension. In the extremes of separation, we separated. We separated not only from ourselves, we separated from our families, we separated from our friends, from world views. We were really good at separation. That's what causes wars. That's what causes rifts within groups of people. Causes hatred, greed, anger. And most of all, it causes harm. Now, this belief that accompanied separation was one of the programs, one of the belief systems that separation involved. It was a great, I'm going to call it an experiment. Even though I don't really believe that this is an experiment thing that humanity decided to experience. Now we are moving out of that belief system. We're moving away from the belief that separation, that we are separate from ourself, from our God self, from our soul self, that our soul self existed someplace out there, but didn't exist within us. What's happening now is the body is ascending. The body is ascending. It's moving from carbon-based DNA to crystalline-based DNA. And through this process, we release from our thoughts. We release from our emotions. We release from those belief systems that really don't serve us in fifth dimensional energy and in creating and being responsible for who we are as magical creator beings. The most important part of separation is that we know who we are as an energy being, as a soul being. Our souls have this sort of energetic blueprints that contain the ego, contains the mind, contains our spirit, our soul self, contains our mental body, contains our emotional body, and our physical body. And all of our spiritual multidimensional levels that are available to us. Okay? So during this time, we need to understand that in order to feel safe within this process, within this world, within this universe, we need to understand ourselves at this deeper soul level. That's the only way ascension works. It's the only way that we move out of the extremes of separation. The extreme that we are no longer separate from who we really are, from our soul self. Take a deep breath on that one. As a human, we are not just a human being, and I've talked about this before. We are not just a human being. We are an energy being. We are a spiritual being. We are multi-dimensional beings within this one component. And in order to ascend, move out of and away from and release from separation, the belief that we're not separate, we have to understand ourselves as all of these other aspects of who we really are. We're not just one simple little thing. The other day I heard a song and it said something about we are just human. And it kind of struck a chord in me. It kind of struck I was like, what? We're not just human. That's not an excuse for who we are. And the song made it sound like it was an excuse. Well, I'm just a human. No, you are a human. You are an energy being. You are a soul self. You are powerful. We have to understand that. We have to become that. We have to become our soul self, having a human experience. But we're not separate from any of those categories. That's what the meaning of oneness, there are lots of meanings of oneness out there. But we see oneness as bringing all of the aspects of who I am as an energy human being into oneness within myself. No one is responsible for any of my energy except me. So why is separation so strong right now? Because we're moving through this shift in awareness, this shift in our conscious level. And the mind, right? The beautiful mind, it just wants to hold on and keep us safe. It just really wants to be able to pull from past experiences and make some sort of meaning to who we are and why we're here. But it's holding us back from this conscious awareness that we're moving into, from this new paradigm shift. It's holding us back from becoming one within who we are because it's afraid. Because it doesn't have any knowledge, any wisdom to gain from, to pull from, to make sense of what's happening to us. So we're creating in the present moment and the mind is still in the past. If we're creating new paradigms, new energies, newness of who we are, we're working through this whole process, the mind has no understanding of what's happening. And if we're not asking deep, soulful kind of questions of ourselves, because you're the only one that has your own truth, and if we're not asking those kinds of questions, then the mind is just floundering. It's just hanging out here saying, I don't even know what to do. I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand these emotions, right? I don't understand why I'm just all of a sudden crying out of nowhere because I'm connecting into human unity consciousness, and I don't have any explanation for that. So the mind just really wants to keep us safe on this nice little track that we've got going, right? Nice little, we know separation. We know it inside and out. We aren't afraid of separation. We're afraid of knowing ourselves as energy beings, these love creators of only truth That's what we're afraid of, because we've never experienced it in this form before, and we really don't know how it works. So that's the extreme. That's why we are fighting ourselves. Literally, that's what's happening, is our inner aspects. The mind is fighting the changes that we're feeling within our physical body. It's fighting the emotions, right? And so we just sit there and cry. I've been doing it for days, eons actually, a year. and so what we need to do to pull us out of the extremes, to pull us out of the sort of pain and suffering, because I don't have any other words for it, to pull us out of that, we need to be asking ourselves the deeper soul questions. What is this? Show me what this is. Show me why I'm connecting to unity consciousness. Show me what I'm releasing from. Show me who I am today, because I'm not the same as I was yesterday or even an hour ago. Show me my multidimensionality. Show me my brilliance. Show me my worth. Show me my value. Have you noticed that the responsibility, like your own responsibility, like who you are and who you're becoming, there's nobody out there that holds the same responsibility or truth that you do. What is it that you're valuing? Values are changing so rapidly that in the morning I value one thing and in the afternoon I value something else. It's okay. You see, you're okay. You're not crazy. You're not going off the deep end, right? You're okay. Everyone is feeling these symptoms of ascension. I'm talking about them as much as I possibly can, so that we have some sort of understanding about really what's happening with us. It's an amazing time to be alive. But we have to start asking the deep questions within ourselves, and not to be afraid of our peace, our tranquility, our simpleness, our truth. Okay, so I'm going to see if there's any questions. Renee says, when we ask these questions of show me, how does that get past the rationale of the mind? Of how is that possible? Okay, so what happens when we do ask these soulful kind of questions? The mind, it takes a little while for the mind to reprogram itself, right? It takes a little bit for it to move into the wisdom of it, because the mind has been so programmed to believe what someone else tells us that when we ask it for ourselves, it's a whole restructuring of the mind to believe and to trust in your own wisdom, to your own truth. That's what the ascension is. We're not looking outside of ourselves any longer for our truth. Now we're looking inside of ourselves for our truth. And it takes a little bit for the mind to get so that it really trusts your answers. So I say, write them down. What happens with the mind with black and white is like it's programmed to understand that when something is written, that it's the truth. We've been programmed to believe that when something's written, it's the truth. Otherwise, it's just a story that someone else tells or that I tell myself. Okay, so write your answers down. And then if they continuously are like the same kind of answers or the same, like on the same line of the answer, then the mind begins to learn and trust your own answers. And after a little while, like, it won't question it anymore. It'll just know that this is our truth. Okay, so I hope that helps, Renee. Yes, it is hard to trust, right? We don't have that programming that we trust who we are. But that's the beauty of separation, right? Like, that was the experience of separation. Was separation's whole game, whole premise was that we could operate without our soul self. Didn't quite work. Not in the way that we wanted it to, anyway. It works, right? Separation works, but it's also very harmful for who we are. And so now we're moving into a different paradigm, a different dimension that says, yeah, I don't really want to be in separation any longer. You know, I've done that. I understand it. I've experienced it at a soul level. Now I want to come back into who I am as a soul being. That's this shift in consciousness. We're literally moving out of separation into our soul self again, or into another dimension of our soul self. Because we never really stopped creating. We just move from one dimension to another, or one paradigm to another. So, you know, we have to like maneuver, and it's an exciting place to be right now, where we're moving into something else. Is the energies a little bit difficult sometimes? Yes. But just remember to move into those deeper kind of questions, those deeper soulful kind of questions that bring your aspects of who you are, your energy, into the oneness that you are right here. And then it gets simpler. As you become that, and as you practice that, it gets simpler. And life is, that's the beauty of where we're headed, is the simplicity of it. But that takes another retraining, right? Because we're so used to doing, that now we're moving into being, and just being is simple. So I hope that this helps. If you have any further questions, ask them in the, in the comments, and I'll get to them. So I hope you have an amazing day. And until next week, just love who you are and be who you are. Don't be afraid of who you are, because you're beautiful. Take care.